Hello and welcome to Fokoos and the video on the Fokoos Odin5 F3 3D printer. This was sent to me for free, but all opinions are my own, and I'm not even sure I will be making a review of this printer because there are so many different variants out there, so it's really hard to compare them, but I will try to make some comparisons of things that I like about this machine, some upgrades from the standard and the 3 and other models, as well as maybe some disadvantages and things I don't really like about it. So stay tuned. So this video will most likely only be my first look at the machine, what components they use, how the actual quality of the build looks. Then I will use it for a while, and then I will see what I actually end up liking in the long run. If there are any problems, I will find them, and then I will make a follow-up video later on. But let's get this thing out of the box and see what it looks like. So first thing I have to say is that this actually comes in a retail packaging style box. So that's really nice to see. Most printers come in as the plain cardboard box. There's nothing actually on it, so here you can actually see some specs, have a look around and see the printer before you open it. The box is nothing you will use later on, but it's just a nice touch to have a high quality box with actually some information on it. So this printer has a direct drive extruder. It's the integrated style, so as the E3D Hemera and Big 3 Tech has one as well. This one is actually a volcano style heater block, so that will be nice to try out. It has dual C lead screws as well as silent stepper drivers, a color touchscreen, and it uses ribbon cables instead of the wire harnesses as on the Ender 3. I'm not actually a fan of these, especially since on the artillery Sidewinder X1 there was a problem with the connectors, and also these are a lot harder to replace than just normal wires, so that is something I will have to look out for. Otherwise it is the same form factor as the Ender 3. It has the V-wheels, which I actually like. If you adjust them correctly, they are actually a really good motion system. And also it has a real wide base for the V-wheels for the bed, so it should be a lot more stable than the Ender 3. So that's a really nice feature. I'm not really a fan of this cooler for the parts cooling. It looks a bit restricted in the airflow, but we'll have to open it up and see what it looks like. So first off, it's this white foam, so not the same as the Ender 3. It actually comes with a spool of filament. It's 200 grams, I believe. It doesn't say. Just plain white, so nothing fancy, but it is actually good to get the real spool of filament that is actually usable. The small samples just hangs up and you can't really use them for much at all. Then there is a box for accessories. So it actually seems to be really well packaged. The printer is kind of suspended in the middle with foam all around, and then the filament and the accessory box are here in the center. So we'll try and get it out. And get the box out of the way. So if we just remove these foam pieces right here, we should be able to get the printer down standing on the table. As you can see right now, the printer is actually in the folded state, so it should be a real simple assembly with just a few screws on either side, but it actually is all lined up, so you don't have to worry about that. also some more foam and also some plastic wrapped around the actual bed. The glass plate seems to have moved, so it's kind of off the actual build plate, but that should be an easy fix if I go get a knife and remove this plastic. So just like that, one of the small clips fell off, and as I said, the bed has actually moved, but I don't think it has damaged anything. I already see a small breakout board in the actual Holton that the cable attaches to. So in the worst case, these ribbon cables fail, you should be able to just hook it up to that controller board. Then there's some foam under the lead screws. And now I believe this should just fold up, but I will have to remove this plate since it has moved to the side. I will just put it to the side completely for now. It seems to be an ultra base style glass plate that is just plain on the underside. So it just folds up just like this. There is no way of actually have it standing without inserting the bolts here, so it might be a bit difficult to get it at 90 degrees, but we'll see. So I just put it against the wall like that. And there is a zip tie up here that we'll have to remove. And there is the ribbon cable that we will insert in the actual tool head right here. This cutout right here seems to be quite restricting for that parts cooling fan, so I will probably cut this out eventually, but I will try it as it is for now. I guess we'll have to look in the accessory box to find some instructions and maybe some bolts to put this thing together. So here is the instructions, it seems like, and a quick start guide. There's also the regular style blue USB cable. Here are bolts. They are actually labeled, some T-nuts as well. Wrenches and actually a small set of Allen keys. There is the power cable, actually some spare ribbon cables, so that's nice. There is the spool holder, some spare nozzles, and also the small needle to unclog the nozzle. There are some small caps for the extrusions, I believe. The metal part of the spool holder, also a small USB to micro SD card adapter with a small card, no labeling whatsoever on that. There's also a removing tool for removing your prints. This actually looks very nice. It's very thin out in the front right here, so you should have no problem getting under the prints and pop them off. And there's also your usual pair of side cutters. So if we take a quick look at the manual, here you can see what is included. I won't go through all of this, but here are some specifications as well as what is included with the printer. 250 gram spool of filament, and here is the actual assembly. The assembly is just this one page, so it should be really quick, so that's what I will start with right now. So to attach the gantry, there are 2 bolts on either side. The manual tells you to use 4 M5x5mm bolts, but there actually aren't any included with this printer, but there are some M5x8, and I'm guessing those are the ones you are supposed to use. So those are the ones I'm going to use. The manual also tells you that this should be at 90 degrees. I don't actually have something to control that right now, but I will do that later when I can. So for now I will just put these bolts in so it is actually holding itself straight up. So just 2 bolts on either side. And these bolts seem to work just fine. So just like that, and as I said, you should control this is actually perfectly 90 degrees, because otherwise your prints will be slightly skewed to one side. There's not that precise machining for these holes, so you can actually move this a couple of degrees back and forth for the actual gantry. Now it's time to assemble the spool holder. So it seems like these 2 parts just twist together just like that. It seems like this could just keep rotating and come out. And also this actually seems quite narrow for spools I'm using. I'll have to go and get one to try out, but I don't think my regular sized 1 kilogram spools actually fit on this. So I might have to 3D print a new one that also locks in a bit better, because when there's friction and the filament actually rotates around this, I feel like this could actually come out and just fall down. But I'll use it for now and we'll see if the filament actually fits or not. Then you take 2 of the M4 bolts and also some T-nuts that go here on the bottom to attach this to the printer. So after that we install what they refer to as the material rack, but the spool holder on this top extrusion right here. I usually do it so when the tool head is in the center, the filament actually comes down completely straight, so slightly towards one side, the way you will be running your filament. This actually uses the extrusions that don't have any slots on the front, so like the Creality CR6SE, I believe. But it's just the same, so you just tighten the bolt and the T-nut lock into place in this top slot right here. These M4 bolts actually seem to be very low quality, so I had trouble actually getting them in with the included Allen keys and also with these Ternity screwdrivers. So the actual hex on them was a bit tight and not completely sharp in the corners, but I got it on there, but you might want to use some other bolts to attach that. The manual doesn't actually tell you to plug in this ribbon cable right here, but I will go ahead and do it. I actually haven't had a printer with these ribbon cables before, but it seemed to go in just fine. I'm not actually sure if this is one that locks into place, so we'll see how that goes later on, if they will come out or if they will work just fine. we'll have to attach this ribbon cable right here as well. So now I will put the glass plate back on, but first peel off this protective film on the top. The plate was actually attached with 4 clips, so 2 in the back, 1 on one of the sides, and then 1 in the front. But the plate actually slid out to the other side where there was no clip before. I actually think I will just use 1 in the front and then 2 in the rear, and then skip that side clip for now. At least it should hold just fine with just 3 clips. So after that you actually have to adjust the wheels. So this is actually completely loose, so just take your wrench, put it around the eccentric nut, and then tighten it until it stops wobbling. Don't over tighten it, so you shouldn't actually see any debris forming in this slot after you have printed a while. That means it's too tight, so just tighten it until the wobble goes away. And then if you turn the wheel, you should be able to move the carriage, but if you hold the carriage, you should be able to turn the wheel without the carriage actually moving. The bed was actually instead a bit too tight, so I loosened that up, and now it moves completely freely. There is a small flat spot on the wheels because it was too tight, but that will go away over time. And other than that, I really like this design for the wire rails, that they are further spaced apart, so the bed is really stable, and also you get room for the belt, the motor, and the end stop in the center. So these inner C wheels, they are actually way too tight as well, but they don't seem to be easily adjustable. I will leave it as it is now and see how well it's printing, but you could probably move these out and make them adjustable in some way, but that's something I would have liked to see. Then these top lead screw bearings right here, they are actually completely screwed down, so the lead screw cannot move. That might be something that could introduce C-wobble into your prints, but if that is the case, I believe you could just take this bearing, put it on the top side as well, and leave the screws slightly loose so it could move around, since the actual hole is slightly bigger. So that's also a small adjustment that they could have made, that these bearings could actually have a small bit of play in them, so you wouldn't constrain the lead screw completely if it is not completely straight. Also, these belts right here should have probably been looped the other way, so the teeth actually engage in each other, but because these actually go through this small metal plate right here, they shouldn't be able to slip off, so it is probably fine. And these are some small things and things you can actually fix yourself, but also that probably would have been better done at the factory, since they aren't actually that big a deal either. Another small thing is this C end stop right here. This is actually a bit loose, but that is also something that can be tightened, and it is actually possible this just came loose in shipping. This printer actually has inbuilt belt tensioners with this bolt right here. There is a small potential problem that this bolt right here will actually touch the belt if you tighten it too much, but you could just replace that with a shorter bolt if you have an issue with that as well. So now I will do the bed leveling on this machine. There is actually a menu on this touchscreen that you can use to move it to the different corners, but I also have an older video that I will link up here for how to level your bed. That was done on the End3, but it is very similar to this printer, so I will not show that now. So if you want to see how to level your bed properly, go and watch the video up here. That's actually it for this video. I will power it up now and also do some test prints, then I will continue to use it for an extended period of time, see which things I like, if there are any real problems that come up after a while, and then I will make an update video on this machine later on. If you want some more frequent updates, you should probably follow my Twitter at 3CNC as well, to get some pictures of prints and maybe some other updates as well. But that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!